Spring is here and I still adore her. Mother Nature, can you hear me sing? Mother Nature, are you listening? I love the way the changes go, from feeling high to feeling low. I love the changes. Sometimes it can feel unbearable. You just have to grin and bear it, though I know how you feel. It all is real, but every day can be a new day, whether the weather is bright or gray. You can choose light in your own life, or you can be under the gray skies. You love the way the changes go, feeling high and feeling low. Do you know the changes? The only constant is that we change. Our days can go from bright to gray. It all depends on your perception. Just remember, it is all a lesson. I love the way the changes go, from feeling high to feeling low. I love the changes. Cause you remember, everything is temporary. I should know I'm the one subliminally giving you the keys to all the doors of glory. All you got to do is love the changes. Know your worth, remember every being that's here on earth. We all go through changes. We all go through. We all go through changes. When they are feeling high and feeling low, the only constant is that we change. And the deeper we go, the deeper we will know. It is what we make of it.
Thank you, Grayson. That was the amazing Grayson Nierenberg with an original song, Changes. And how perfect is that for this beginning of springtime, where there are changes in the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Lori Carlson. I'm a licensed practitioner here at the Center for Spiritual Living Morristown, and I am very grateful to be here with you all this morning. Welcome to everybody who's live streaming, who's watching the replay. We are glad you are with us. Please use the buttons, like us, share us, make comments. We want you to be a part of this community. And welcome to everyone who's here in person. It is great to see your faces. So this morning I'm going to be talking about plant this. What seeds are you planting in your consciousness that you are going to demonstrate in your life, right? Because it's all about intentionality of planting those seeds. But first, we are going to open, as we always do here at Center for Spiritual Living Morristown, with our Namaste practice. So Namaste is the Sanskrit word for the divinity within me recognizes and honors the divinity within you. But since we're talking about planting seeds, I'm going to change it up a little bit. So this morning we're going to say, the seed of divinity within me recognizes and honors the seed of divinity within you. So I invite you to put your hands together in front of your heart and to turn to several people around you and to say, the seed of divinity within me recognizes and honors the seed of divinity within you. The seed of divinity within me recognizes and honors the seed of divinity within you. Or you can just shorten it and say namaste and know that you're knowing your consciousness that you're planting the seed, because that's where the only place where it really matters, right? So, okay. Now we are going to start with a spiritual mind treatment, which is our word for affirmative prayer. For anyone who doesn't know, affirmative prayer is a type of prayer that is not begging and beseeching to a God outside of ourselves, but is rather affirming the truth of that seed of divinity within each of us, and is declaring into law, which we're going to be talking about, declaring into law that which we wish to experience, that which we wish to know. So I invite you, if you are comfortable to do so, to close your eyes and to hear these words as if they were your own, because since we are all of one mind, they kind of are. And so right here, right now, in the infinite source of love that is spirit, in the oneness of consciousness that is this community, that is our very life, I affirm this truth. I affirm my oneness with Source, my oneness with each other. I affirm my willingness to plant seeds of intention that will grow into greater expressions of loving awareness in the world. I affirm for me good and greater good, for myself individually and for this community as a whole, as we participate in the planting of seeds, in the sowing of intentions, and in the gardening of our consciousness, weeding out anything that looks unlike love, anything that looks unlike oneness, because that is our truth. And so I affirm that right here, right now. And with deep gratitude for this truth, for this teaching, for this practice, for this community, and for this opportunity to know that we are all one, that we are all planting this beautiful garden of love together. I release this word into that soil, that law, that consciousness, knowing that it cannot come forth void, because it is spoken with deep faith and conviction. And so I invite you all to join me in saying, and so it is. Amen, hallelujah. I'm adding that from now on. I stole the hallelujah from Susan, and I love it. So, good morning. So from that place of that consciousness of oneness and of our willingness to plant seeds, I'm going to be talking about the actual creative process, right, which is, in Science of Mind, is the seed, soil, plant analogy. It is how creative process works. It is how we demonstrate in our lives that which we imagine. So the seed is your thought or your intention, right? It's the idea. The soil is where you plant it, is your subconscious, is that subjective mind, is the law, the soil that just grows what's planted there, right? It doesn't make a decision, it doesn't make a judgment, it doesn't say, oh, I'm going to grow this and not grow that. It just grows what's planted there. And then the plant is the demonstration, is the form, is the matter, is the realization of what started as the idea. So seed, soil, plant, right? It's a very basic concept in Science of Mind. So in that, it all starts with the seed, right? It all starts with that idea, with that intention. So the obvious question is, what seeds are you planting? What seeds are you sowing in the garden of your consciousness, in the garden of your mind? Because I know none of us want to sow seeds of discord and disharmony and hate and fear and doubt and judgment, but it takes conscious intention to sow something else, to sow seeds of love, of friendship, of joy, of acceptance, of gratitude, right? It takes choosing them. It takes conscious intention, and it takes the willingness to do whatever is necessary. So when you go into a seed store, right, you choose well, for me, the package, the picture, because I don't know what a lot of them are, but of what you want. And in that same way, we have to choose our thoughts and our ideas with that same conscious intention. What is this going to look like in my life? How is this going to demonstrate? Ernest Holmes says, all law is subjective. The law is the soil, right? The soil knows how to take a seed and make a plant from it. It does not know whether it's making a tomato or a potato. Tomato, tomato. It knows how to create without knowing what it creates. What it creates is up to you. That's where you get to be in volition, right? Which is that self-will, it's that choice, is that intention. And I know a lot of people just sort of let what happens, and let the seeds that are on the wind come in and plant in their field without any intention. And if that's how you want to live, okay, that's no judgment, that's up to you. But if you want a certain result, if you want a certain plant, you have to choose those seeds and you have to plant it with intention. So every choice you make, every word you speak, every decision, every way that you treat someone, those are all the seeds that you are planting. And it is always up to you. And I don't know, how many of you in here are gardeners? I see some. I know there's a lot. I'm not a gardener. I barely keep my houseplants alive. But I have enough friends that are gardeners that I know some things about gardening. And I know that you sometimes have to make room, right? You have to sometimes dig out the old roots to make room for the new, right? Otherwise they will be crowded out by weeds and by roots of other things. And roots, the roots of thoughts, go just as deep, or even deeper maybe, than the roots of plants. I know when I was growing up, it was one of my summer chores to get the dandelions out of the yard. And let me tell you, dandelions have very long roots. Mm-hmm. And it was part of my chores, right? So I just used to kind of like, pull the flower off, and then they would always come back, and it's like, oh my God, sort of like spiritual bypass, right? When we just pretend that we can just clean the field by, oh no, this is fine, everything's fine, just get rid of the flowers, get rid of it, the temporary fix, without getting at the root of the problem, without being willing to do the work and dig deep. Those flowers are gonna come right back. I mean, and whether they're weeds or flowers, we're gonna talk about that in a minute. But the point is that you have to be willing to do the work. You have to dig deep if you really wanna get rid of it. And I found out, that the tools that you use either make a job easy or make a job hard, right? My dad had a tool, which I guess probably you gardeners know, that was like this big long pronged thing that got out when you put it in and you sort of shook it around, and he got out the whole root of the dandelion. It was amazing to me. It was like, oh, and it's like with the right tool, any job is possible and easier. I learned that from my boyfriend. A lot of you know my boyfriend passed away in October, but he was in the construction business and a contractor, and he had a tool for everything. He had the right tool for every job. And he used to always say to me, oh, you need the right tool, Lori. And I'm somebody who will use a knife to put in a screw, and I don't have tools like that. So I would use whatever I had, and sometimes to no avail, sometimes it would kind of half-ass work. But I did find out that having the right tool makes everything easy and makes the outcome good, right? And we are blessed in this teaching and being people on a spiritual path because we have tools. We have a toolkit of all of the things that can help us to dig out the roots that we don't want and to plant the seeds of intention that we want. So what are some of those tools? Spiritual mind treatment, meditation, affirmation, visualization, visioning, anything that connects you to source, right? So taking a walk in nature, playing beautiful music, reading poetry, whatever it is that reminds you of your oneness with source is planting those seeds in your consciousness that will go forth to bring you good, that will go forth and blossom in your life. So I know that there are a lot of ways that we also have tools with classes, right? A tool, we have a friend, a lot of you know her, Reverend Michelle Wadley, who wrote a book on shadow work, wrote a book on forgiveness, does classes and workshops, and those are ways to dig deeper and to find out what the roots are, then to work on getting them out. Also working with a practitioner, right? Coming here to celebration, reading books, listening to podcasts. It's all about what you're willing to do to discover and use the tools. I gotta say one thing, if you have a tool and you don't know how to use it, is it useful? So there's always a learning curve. There's always trying to understand an awareness of the tools that are available to you, and then being willing and open-minded enough to learn how to use them. Because I remember my boyfriend had like this whole toolkit, and I'm like, I look at it, I have no idea what any of them are, what they do, or how to use them. But I could learn. I was, the one who handed it to him, one thing at a time. Well, what's that we want? What is that? And then you learn. So it's the same thing with coming here. You learn, you ask questions. You get curious. You have an open mind and an open awareness to what is possible and to how you can best use the tools to create the life that you desire. And then there's another thing that's important is what soil you are planting those seeds in, right? Now, so I told you I don't know that much about gardening, but I do know that you can change the color of hydrangeas by what you put in the soil, right? If you change the acidic, I think it's rusty nails or pennies or, vinegar or something, but you can put different things in the soil to change the color of the blossom. But it's still a hydrangea. You can change the outer appearance with the condition of the soil, with whether you water it or, how you nurture it. But the initial thing is the seed. The important thing is the seed. A hydrangea is still a hydrangea, no matter what color it is. So your intention and the seed that you plant is the most important thing. Then you go forward and you nurture it and you take care of it and you weed your garden and all of that. But it starts with the intention and with the seed that you plant. And what does your ideal garden look like, right? First, you have to have a vision of what you want, because otherwise you're just allowing all of that scattered seeds to come in. It took me a very long time to realize that my dad's vision of the all green lawn was not mine. For a long time I thought that was like the ideal, because that had been implanted in me, that was what a lawn was supposed to look like. Now I realized I love dandelions. I love the little bursts of yellow in the green. I love them when they go to seed and I get to blow them and and make wishes and send them out into the world. I also love to eat them. I found out that dandelion greens are really delicious and healthy. They actually have more vitamin A than spinach, more vitamin C than tomatoes, and are a powerhouse of iron, calcium, and potassium. Plus, they feed the bees and the butterflies, right? They give back to the livingness of the yard, and rather than, listen, if you like an all green lawn, that is fine. I'm not judging you. You do what works for you, but know what your vision is. Do not be influenced by society, by the judgment of your neighbors, by what everybody else has. Choose your vision, what is true for you, and then do everything you can to move towards it. My friend Carrie in New Orleans has a front yard that is a total wild jungle. It's when you walk down her street, there's like a yard, a lawn, and then you come to her house. And it looks like, at first glance, it might look like, nobody's taking care of this yard, until you look for a minute. And it's very intentional. She planted all that stuff. She wants it to be wild. There are butterflies, there are bees. It is gorgeous and thriving. And people walking down the street stop all the time. They're like, wow, look at that. Wow, it's different. but it is her vision. She created it. And that's what's important. It's important to be true to what is your vision and what you want, and then to plant and move towards that. There's this great quote about the dandelion, you know me in quotes. And the dandelion does not stop growing because it is told it is a weed. The dandelion does not care what others see. It says, one day they will be making wishes on me. That's by B. Atkinson for anybody who's interested. So that is the idea that we want to have, right? We want to be so true to our vision that we don't care what anybody else thinks. We just want to know that if we stay true to our vision, other people will be inspired or make wishes on us, because we will be demonstrating a life. We will be demonstrating a way of living that other people will want, right? That's where we want to be. So I know this is kind of a cliche saying, but William Wordsworth says, your mind is a garden, your thoughts are the seed. The harvest can be either flowers or weeds. And that's the reality. And the reality is, what's the difference between a flower and a weed?
Perception.
Perception, right? It's all in your perception. Some people would say it's in location because a weed in your vegetable garden can be a flower if it's on the side of the road. And there are a lot of plants that are native to one part of the country where they are beautiful wildflowers that have, in another part of the country, are considered weeds. Right? It has something to do with where they are, but it has more to do with how you see them. It has more to do with your perception and what you decide about them. Like I said about the dandelion, it can either be food and beauty, or it can be something that's marring your perfect green lawn. You know, that's your perception, and that is intentional choice. It always comes back to your ability to choose. And that is one of the things that we have. We have the ability to choose. And Thich Nhat Hanh says, the seeds that are watered frequently are those that will grow strong. So it's the practices you bring to water the seeds that create either thriving gardens or a field of scattered weeds. Right? And so what are some of those practices, and how often do you use them? So I want to ask you, how many people spend time every day going within, even if it's only for a minute? Oh, good, great. So that's the place, right? That's the place where you plant the seeds. In that place, in that time of going within, whether it's for a 20-minute sit, or whether it's for a 2-minute pause and a breath, or a 30-second pause and a breath. It is that time of communing with yourself and turning within that plants those seeds. And it is that constant awareness and attention to weeding out that which you don't want. Up, complaint, nope, not in my garden. Criticism, nope. And I think I'll use my tools to dig down and get that root, because that root comes from something, right? It comes, when there's a deep root, it comes from something in your subconscious that you need to work with, because that's the way it works. And sometimes, like I said, you know, it's not something you intentionally planted. A lot of it is stuff that you've been influenced by, but it takes awareness and attention, intention, and attention to uproot those things. And that's what the spiritual journey is all about. We use our tools, we do our spiritual practices, and we change what our garden looks like. You know, there's a beautiful poem, and, you know, I can't do anything without having a poem or two. And I think today you're going to be subjected to two. But this one is by Rumi, and it says, out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. To me, That is what I want my inner garden to be. That's the field I want to lie down in, where there is no judgment, where we're beyond right doing and wrongdoing, where the oneness, there's no, even the other doesn't make sense, because we are so aware of how we are one. That's the seed I want to plant. That's the field. That's the field I want to grow. And we do that with our practices, right? So I brought something in. I brought a visual aid today. A couple, actually. So I don't know how many of you read Science of Mind magazine every morning. We have a few left up here. I read it every day. There is always an inspirational idea and a treatment, and if you read it, it brings you into that place of planting seeds for the day. I have a daily affirmation practice. A lot of you here are very well aware. And so it becomes, again, the things you do on a daily basis. You're going to hear me say that every time you hear me speak, probably, because it is the core of my spiritual practice. It's the things you do. Coming here is great, but it's not going to change your life. Changing your life is the things you choose to do on a daily basis that make a difference. So what I brought in these are a few of my gratitude journals. I have been keeping, I love the way they all look the same, or they all are in the same book, but I have been keeping a gratitude journal since 2016. Wow. Okay, I'm sober since 2013. I only got these books in 2016, so I have them on pages before that. But that's almost 9 years of every night I write in a gratitude journal. Even when things are tough, even when it seems like there's nothing to be grateful about. A lot of you were here when I spoke in October after my boyfriend had just passed, and I spoke about, finding gratitude even when it seems like there's nothing to be grateful for. Those are the times when it's most important. Because when you plant that seed of gratitude in your consciousness, it becomes a regular blossoming thing. Do you know how easy it is for me to find things to be grateful for now after 9 years of dedicated practice? I have to limit myself. I'm like, I run out of pages in my book. I'm like, oh God, I want this book to last for a year. I write like really tiny. And I still have to limit myself. When I started, it was difficult. When I started, it was difficult to find things to be grateful for. I used to struggle with it. And now, no matter what's going on in my life and in the world, I can find things to be grateful for because I have trained myself to look for them. And I have planted that seed, and I have nurtured that in my garden. Gratitude. It's one of the most transformative practices. So it always comes down to, in this teaching, right, comes down to the inner work. As within,
so without.
Right, so when we look out into the world and see things we don't like, and Lord knows, that's pretty much what it looks like to me these days. But the thing that I can do is I can go within. And I can work on my consciousness, and I can make sure that I am a safe space of loving awareness for others. I mean, if you are motivated to do, protests and whatever you do, that's great. But the one thing you must do is do the inner work. Dig out those weeds, those roots of conflict, of judgment, of criticism, of division, of separation. At least remove them from your own consciousness. Because we know in this teaching, there's one mind, right? The ripple effect, I think I talked about that last month. So what you do in your consciousness affects the world around you. So it always comes back to doing your own practices, to doing your own work, and to supporting each other as we do that. Ernest Holmes says, all my quotes, sorry guys, but I just love them. It may be necessary to cultivate your garden, to uproot the weeds, right? And straighten out the rows. Of course, I don't like straight rows, but planting new seeds, new ideas, broader visions, and deeper realizations of life. New aspirations must be bedded here, fertilized with the fervor of hope, the conviction of faith, the beauty of wholeness, and the quietness of peace. Watch your garden carefully. Guard it patiently, waiting for a new harvest, for you shall reap what you sow. So now my question is, what are you allowing in? Where are you spending your time? Are you watching the news and staying mired in all of the negativity? Are you spending your nights watching horror films and crime shows? I mean, if you like that, that's fine. But be aware that all of the information, all of the things that you are putting in your consciousness are taking root. So are you at least balancing those things with the positive things? Are you reading spiritual readings? Are you listening to uplifting music? Are you doing things that bring your consciousness up, that plant those seeds of joy and peace and love? Because there's so much that we are, inflicted with. There's so much social media and society and news and everything that we have to work hard to balance that out and to bring up our quotient of good. Because that's who and what we want to be in the world, right? So, I want to kind of close out by saying to try to stay away from gossip and criticism and complaint and all of those things that are insidious, right? Because once you allow that little seed into your consciousness, oh my goodness, it's like one of those weeds that just grows everywhere, right? There's certain plants that just take over. What do they call them? Invasive. There you go. Thank you. So those negative thoughts, those criticisms, that participating in gossip and complaint is invasive. It's like an invasive weed that will crowd out all those beautiful blossoms that you're trying to plant, that you want to plant with intention in your consciousness. So we have to be aware of what we want, aware of our vision, of what we want to plant. We have to plant our seeds with intention. We have to dig out the roots of anything that's blocking them, of any old thoughts, limiting beliefs, judgments, things that are keeping you from thriving and blossoming. I know, I don't want to just survive, I want to flourish, right? We want to flourish, we want to thrive. So we need to cut out, dig out the roots, be aware of what we let in, be aware of what is coming in on the wind, and try to curate that a little. I hate the word censor, like we're not trying to censor, but let's cultivate what we desire and curate what we let in so that we have some control and we're not at the mercy of the seeds of the wind blowing in. And just for the sake of non-judgment, if you do decide that, okay, I'm just going to let whatever, I'm just going to stay open to whatever comes in, then don't complain about it. If your field looks like a big mess of complaint and judgment, then don't complain about it, because you have allowed it by not setting intentions, by not doing your practices, by not staying present to your vision, right? So that's the important thing. And then be in support of each other. Here we are in community. Support one another. Don't plant in someone else's garden, but you can always pull a weed in someone else's garden. You can always help give someone the tool. You can always explain the tool to someone, right? Like that dandelion thing I was talking about. You can always be of service, but don't try to plant seeds in someone else's consciousness. We don't do that. We try to make people aware of their ability to choose for themselves. And we try to inspire them to want to choose seeds of good, of love, of joy, of peace. And then we can help point out the weeds gently, with kindness, and with offering a tool to help. That's what we do in community. That's why we're here together. That's how we're expressing as a joint venture this transformation into a new space, into a new future, into a new spring. We're here together to uplift and support each other and help us nurture our gardens. Okay, so I'm going to be back with a meditation about your garden and visualizing what it is you want to plant. And I'm going to share a poem of mine because I just had a poem published, and it's called Growth. So it's very much in keeping with this talk. And it's also in keeping with the idea that I planted the intention that I wanted to be a published poet. Right? So I had to envision that. I had to plant the seed, and then I had to dig the roots of all of that. You're not good enough, you'll never be able to do this, you don't have any talent. All those thoughts, I had to dig out those roots. And how did I do that? With the practices of submitting. You actually have to, you have to do the practices on a daily basis. Nothing happens if you don't. So, you don't just become a published poet because you write poetry. You have to actually submit. You have to do the work. It's the same with your spiritual journey. You have to do the work. You have to show up for yourself. You have to do the practices, right? So, one of the greatest practices you can do is kindness. And now we're going to have Grayson and his mom Anna are going to come up and lead us. You should have on your chairs the words to the chorus. And we are all going to join in and sing together as a community and plant those seeds of oneness and joy and kindness. Thank you, Grayson and Anna.
All right, so you guys have, if you need a paper, there's extra ones around. So we're going to start with the chorus, and then there's some verses. And the only requirement is that you have fun. Just have fun.
Yes.
Do the best you can. It goes fast. It's a very fast song, and Grace is going to be joining me on the tambourine, so it should be fun. So hopefully it'll go well. Okay, so this is the chorus. My religion is kindness. My church is nature. My God is a feeling. Lives deep inside. My job is to be conscious. My path is forgiveness. My religion is kindness. And I practice it every day. Everyone has a story, everyone has pain. When we strip away our masks, we find we're really all the same. It's those little things we say and do that can mean so much. It's a smile, a connection, a simple loving touch. My religion is kindness, my church is nature, my God is a feeling. Live deep inside, our job is to be conscious. And I practice it every day. Today I'm gonna ask myself, what more can I do? Radiant child of God, let my love shine through. Gonna let my heart be my guide to give the best of me. I'm gonna share my joy, share my love, give it boundlessly. My religion is kindness, my church is nature. My God is a feeling, lives deep inside. My job is to be conscious. My heart is forgiveness. My religion is kindness, and I practice it every day, every day. Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came running after. She said, Jack, tell me, what can I do to help you ease your mind? He said, hold my hand and just be kind, and I know I'll be fine. My church is nature. My God is a feeling. Lives deep inside. My job is to be conscious. Forgiveness, my religion is kindness, and I practice it every day. My religion is kindness. religion is kindness, and I practice it every day. My religion is kindness. I'm gonna practice it every day.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Grace. And thank you, everyone, for joining in, right? It's always better when we do everything together. I love all the interactive energy and enthusiasm. So, of course, from that high energy, we're going to bring it back down into meditation. But, okay, first, to ease us into meditation, first I'll read you the poem, because I'm all excited. So this is the poem I just had published. It's short. It's called Growth. I push my way through the concrete of other people's opinions, raise my fragile head through a crack in the sidewalk traversed by many, a gentle blossom reaching for the ever-present sun. Even when hidden, I feel its rays, inviting me to sprout and root, ready to be seen again, a gift that recovery brings, able to reach and grow and bloom right where I am. Thank you. So, now we're going to do a little meditative practice about envisioning your field or your garden, right? Going within. So I invite you, if you're comfortable to do so, to close your eyes and to just join me on a little walk. We're going to take a walk into that place within, into that garden of your consciousness. So just follow the path that is there, because I know you've been there at least once before, hopefully many times. So we're just going to follow that path and walk deeper into our inner garden. I want you to just look around and see, what does your garden look like? Just be aware. What colors do you see? What do you smell? What do you hear? Are there bees buzzing? Birds chirping? What is it? What does it feel like for you? And notice if you see any weeds or anything you don't want there. Notice if it's a place of thriving or a place of struggling. And just notice. We're not going to do anything about that now. We can come back another time to weed. Just want you to see, really see and feel what's there. And then we're going to take a few steps deeper into the garden until you come to a place of tilled earth or ground where nothing is planted. Smell the deep smell of rich, fertile soil. This is the soil of your consciousness where you have not yet planted something. And we are going to plant in this soil seeds of intention. So I invite you to feel in your hand a little seed. It can be any shape or size that you desire. And I want you to decide what the intention of that seed is. I know there are probably many that you'd like, but just choose one for this practice. Maybe it's abundance. Maybe it's health. Maybe it's relationship. Maybe it's peace or joy or gratitude. Just choose one and really invest it in that seed. Say an affirmation to yourself in your mind. You are the seed of abundance, and I plant you lovingly, intentionally here in my consciousness. And then I want you to really feel your fingers digging down into that dirt, into that earth, and pushing that seed down and covering it over. Maybe getting the dirt off your hands, but really know that you have planted that seed in fertile earth. And you have blessed it. Bless it with intention. Bless it with the knowing that the soil will grow it. The soil or the law, right, will grow that intention you planted. Just as it will make a tomato from a tomato seed, it will grow the intention of whatever it is for you that you just planted. And then I invite you to see a little water bucket, just conveniently right there. And we're going to water that little seed with the water of gratitude, with the water of our daily practices that we're committing to doing to nurture that seed. And then having planted it with intention and blessing, having watered it with our daily practices and our gratitude and our blessing, we're going to leave it to grow. So I invite you to see yourself turning around and walking back towards down the path out of your garden, walking back towards this room. But wait, before you get there, turn back around and look at that place where you just planted the intention. And I want you to see that there's already a tiny little sprout, a little seedling growing there. I want you to know that it is already done. It is already growing. And so with that awareness and that consciousness and that gratitude for the way that the law works, for the soil that grows whatever you plant in it, you can simply bless it, thank it, and continue back on the path out of your inner garden, which is ever available to you, back out into this room, into this space, and into this community. So, when you are ready, I invite you to open your eyes, and from this beautiful inner garden of gratitude, of joy, of already sprouting seeds, It is time for our conscious giving. This is how we sprout as a community. This is how we grow our community, right, is with our conscious giving. So I'm going to pass the basket. You can fill out an envelope. You can give in the basket. You can also do Venmo and PayPal. You can go to our website and hit the donate button, which is what I like to do. Reverend Frankie used to always say she liked to text to give, which is an option. And I've discovered that if you point your phone over there, it pretty much picks up from other places in the room. So you don't even have to come up and do it after. Well, I guess this side of the room does. But anyway, so I invite you to give to this community so that we can be a garden of joy going forward into the future. So we can be a garden, a thriving garden of consciousness, right? So we can continue to be that. And that depends on you. So I invite you to give from that place that is filled up by this center, from that place of abundant joy and gratitude, because we know in this teaching, the law of circulation, that as you give, so you receive, right? So it's a circular thing, and as you give, you will be blessed. So let's all give from that place. And I invite you to join me, repeat after me this affirmation of giving. I give this gift with abundant joy and gratitude, knowing it plants the seeds of a thriving community, of which I am blessed to be a part. And so it is. Okay, so I have a few announcements. Oh wait, let's not forget the announcements, Lori. Okay, so the first is that we have a field trip being planned. Thank you, Lynn, for organizing it on April 3rd to the Granita Grill in Westwood. There's a flyer up here, you can check it out. So it's just another way to nurture the community, to be a part of that garden and to all blossom together. So thank you, Lynn. Everybody, please join in. There's a phone number, everything. We have our next community gathering April 13th with a potluck social hour. Please come to that. A lot of important information about moving forward. That's also how you show up and be part of the garden of this community, right? So those are the two things. Also, our next healing circle is the first Friday of the month. So that will be April 4th, I believe, is the first Friday. Mm-hmm. So that's our healing circle with Gail Belluardo. It's always a really special and magical time, so I invite you to come to that as well. Okay, so now we're going to close with a spiritual mind treatment, which I explained at the beginning is our word for affirmative prayer. So I'm going to close us out in affirmation of all the good that we know. And then Grayson is going to come up and bless us with another original song. And thank you to Valerie White and family for doing social hour, and for every Christy and for everybody who's helped. We are always blessed to be in community and to nurture our bodies the way we nurture our seeds of consciousness, right? We get to do that together today. So, I invite you to close your eyes and to hear these words once again as if they were your own. And so right here, right now, in this garden of delight, which I call Center for Spiritual Living Morristown, in the consciousness of oneness with Spirit, knowing that there is only one mind, one God, one creative energy, one source, one spirit, whatever you call it, we are all one in that consciousness. And we are each unique expressions of it, unique blossoms in the garden of consciousness. And we get to show up as loving awareness for one another, as community. We get to go forth into the world, planting seeds of good, knowing that as we commit to our practices, knowing that as we go forth intentionally with conscious awareness, choosing to find the good, to see the good, and to plant things of good, and to do our practices that support us in doing that, that we get to spread beautiful blossoms of joy, of love, of gratitude, and of grace in the world, which so sorely needs it. And so, with deep gratitude for this community, for this opportunity to be together, and for knowing this truth, for speaking this word, I simply say thank you. And I release this word into that soil, into that law that does unto us as we believe, and brings us a tomato when we plant a tomato. And so, I plant this seed of gratitude with deep joy and thanks. And I invite you to join me in saying, and so it is. Amen, hallelujah. All right, and now we have Grayson. Thank you, Grayson.
So this is another original song that I have played this here before, calling it Wonderful Day, but it does have a repetitive part in the chorus, so if you catch on, feel free to sing along. Today's a wonderful day. Tomorrow's gonna be a wonderful day too. Today, tomorrow, the day after that, they're all beautiful days too. Just look up and say thank you. Just look up. Doesn't mean that we don't have each other. When we laugh, sing, dance, cry, we're all in this together. When we love, praise, cheer, smile, happy as can be. All we've got to say is God is in me. All we've got to say. Thank you for the hugs and thank you for the space. Thank you for the joy and thank you for the peace. Thank you for the good in all I see. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the love. For the joy, for the peace, and for the hugs, and for the space, and for all of the above.
Thank you, Grayson. So we now have social hour. I will be available for Treatment Express for anybody who wants prayer treatment. If I'm eating, just knock me on the shoulder. You know I'm always happy to treat. So, I will never say no.